So welcome to the walkthrough. It's November 2023 series for Edexcel and it's higher paper 3, so calcs at the ready. But not for question 1. So standard form. We need a number between 1 and 10. And if you count it up, it's moved 5 times. This one needs to move 4 times, but it's a small number. So it needs to move 4 times to the left. So there's 1, and there'll be 3 more. So we insert 3 zeros, decimal point, and the extra naught to finish it off. Number 2. Another nice easy starter. Forget all the waffle. Luca is spinning it 200 times. Probability of an A, 0.4. So we times them. And that gives us the expected amount of 80. Number 3, you'll notice I've already written it out because I do find these quite boring. Bit of a goldmine of marks, but boring. So job 1, get all your midpoints in. Call it X or whatever your teacher normally tells you. They are evenly spaced, so you can just go up in 5s. And these need multiplying in turn by your frequencies. Grab your calcs, add them up for the total, and divide them by not 5 lines. There aren't 5. There are 5 lines, there are 5 groups, but there are 50 cities, giving us the mean of 20, or the estimated mean of 24.6. Just scroll down a little bit. The median is 22.5 because it's the middle of the middle group. Yep, total nonsense. And the reason is, if there's 50 cities, depends on your teacher, sigma f plus 1 over 2, we're looking for the 25.5th city. In other words, halfway between 25 and 26. Well, if you look at the cumulative frequency, there's 10 up to there, there's 2 there. Add on 13, we get 23. The 25th and 26th cities are in that group. So I'm afraid she's talking nonsense because the actual median is in the group 25 to 30. But put that all in your own words. Don't overcomplicate when they're only worth 1 mark. Number 4, some nice inequalities. Write down the mistakes. Well, I'll just show you. You can write them in your own words. The first circle should be on -3. Okay. And the second circle should be a closed circle. In other words, coloured in. For part B, just solve it like normally. Forget the fact it's an inequality. Treat it like an equals sign. Add both sides. Add 7 to both sides, sorry. We get 23. Divide both sides by 5. And integer means whole number. So if y must be below less than 4.6, we get a 4. Number 5, if you want to go for the factor tree and find the LCM, you're more than welcome. But with the numbers being small and friendly, I would just go for the list. You've got a calculator as well as a backup plan, but you'll soon realise that the answer is 120, where you'll have the same. It'll go 72, 96. And that means there are 4 packs of balloons. Count them up. 5 packs of boxes, of pencils. Number 6, another nice starter. 30 hours times 4 machines, 120 machine hours required to make the plates. So 120 shared by 6 machines. Bosh, 20 hours, nice and easy. Number 7, if it's not obvious after you've read the question that it's a DST, you've got to get into that habit. So for this first line, time is distance divided by speed. Now, when we stick that in our calcs, 3 divided by 55, 2.6. That's 2.6 hours. We're going to be needing minutes, so let's focus on that 0.6. Well, a fifth of an hour, which is 0.2, fifth of an hour is 12 minutes. So we've got 2 hours, 36 minutes. Then we've got the extra bit of the journey, add it on. So 36 plus 20 and 2 plus 5. And there we go. Right. So we've got this formula, we can just switch them around. So area will equal force divided by pressure. Just by switching those around, multiplying by A, dividing by P, in other words. The force is 504. The pressure is 3.5. And the calculator tells us 144. But that's the area of one. There's 6 of them. 4 times 6, 864 centimetres squared. Yeah, it's pretty obvious. That's less than 900. So equation of a line for number 9. You need to be thinking, ooh, y equals mx plus c. So you can already start filling in the answer because the intercept is an easy spot. Where you've got to do a bit of work is finding a decent triangle. What do I mean by decent? Not a fan of halves. So we've got a height of 6, width of 3. We do vertical divided by horizontal. It's a gradient of 2, but it's downhill. So -2 for the gradient. Number 10, rearranging. You could take away P or times by 5, entirely up to you. I'll take away P first, and then times by 5. Get to the answer much quicker. And if you want to expand those brackets, it doesn't tell you you want it in a particular form, so no one cares. So to find M, divide both sides. I'll expand it. Divide both sides by 2. Number 11. Now there is a quick way of doing this, but I don't think it's good for revision. Let's go for it sort of an old school way, long way really. So we've got a scale, and it's 48 centimetres squared. So we could go 12 fours or 8 sixes. I'll go 8 sixes. Just make a random answer up. So if the scale is 1 to 50, these in reality would be 400 centimetres by 300 centimetres. But the answer's wanted in metres squared. So let's get rid of the 400, replace it with 4. Let's get rid of the 300 and replace it with 3, because we're now in metres. 4 times 3, 12. Yes, there was a quick way. I don't care. On we go. Number 12. Easier than it looks. More to do with the calculator. So, area of a circle is pi r squared. Area of a shaded sector is pi times the radius squared multiplied by the angle out of 360, which is equal to the area, which is 82.6. So now it's just a load of working backwards. So on your calcs, start with 82.6. Let's times everything by 360. Let's divide everything by pi. Let's divide everything by 6.2. And we get 246.28 and so on. So 246 it is. So as you can see for number 13, I've cheated because no one wants to watch and listen for me for 10 minutes trying to draw these lines with an electronic pen. So part A first. Now Alan, best name ever. Probability that the parameter will have a height greater than 90. So you find your 90. You be careful with the scale. It's 25 for 10 squares, so 2 small squares is 5. So you want to be 4 squares below, so that can catch people out. Get the answer of 5 or 6, and mark scheme allows 5 or 6. Median, middle, so find the 40th along and down. Now there's 62.5, so I'm calling mine 61. Mark scheme allows 58.5 to 61.5 inclusive. I won't scan down to part C. The blue arrows give it away. We're looking for interquartile range. So quarter of 80, 20th, 3/4, 60th, and my readings are 75 and 40. So 35 for my answer. There's what the mark scheme allows. Then we've got to compare the 35 to 30. So you just need any comment. I mean, there's 4 lines there. Don't fill all 4. You just need a comment that the interquartile range of 35 is larger, which will mean there's a more variation or more spread in the data. Number 14, let's get that down a bit. Good old quadratic sequence. So first job, differences. We get a 6, we get a 10, we get a 14, and that's enough to realise that it's definitely quadratic because we're looking at second differences. The coefficient of n squared in your sequence is always half the second difference. So the sequence includes a 2n squares. That's the n squared means square numbers but doubled. Same again, 4 doubled and 9 doubled. Now, if you can't spot a pattern, you do a takeaway and you do another nth term, but this is actually an easier one. It's question 14, not 24. So there is a nice easy spot, nice easy link. It's just up by 3. Another clue that there's not another level to this is that it's only worth 2 marks, not more. Slight cheat for number 15, but again, saves us all time. Not a fan of overlapping diagrams, so easy to see if you make a couple of, doesn't have to be good sketches, but it allows you to put your numbers and then realise that, oh, they've got the same scale factor, so we're worth 2 marks, and probably worth a comment that they share an angle. If you want to go that far, you don't need to worry about BC or anything like that. It's not asking you to do any calculations to find the third line. Number 16, what a lot of waffle for such an easy question. Do not give up just because the words are trying to put you off. Basically, 4-digit passcode, digits are 1 to 9. They can be repeated. First digit's a cube number, so that's a 1 or an 8. There's 2 of them. Second digit's prime, that's 2, 3, 5, and 7. Greater than 6, that's 7, 8, and 9. Odd, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. There's 5 of them. So on your calc or good mental arithmetic, there's 120 possibilities. So chance of getting it right first time, 1 out of. Number 17. Good old completing the square. So standard, halve the coefficient of x, square it and minus it, and then tidy things up. Simplify the minus 16 plus 3. Turning point, don't forget the y's, don't change the x's, think of it like a solution. changes from minus to plus. Part B, yeah, you could complete the square again, but no one wants to be doing that with those numbers. It's quadratic formula all day long, so minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 864. And then we've got minus times a times c, so we end up with a minus times a minus. That's a plus. 4ac is 4 5s are 20 times 7. Now, be careful on your calculators. I am definitely a fan of doing it one step at a time. So negative 8 plus the square root of, 204. I always hit equals. If you don't, stick some brackets in. Divided by 14. It wants them to 3 sig figs. I've got 0.44877. So the 8 has a number above 5 after it. So it becomes 9. And now the negative, minus 8 minus the square root of 204. Again, hit equals or use brackets. Divided by 14. I'm getting minus 1.59. Ends with a 1. After that, so leave it alone. What mistake has Alex made? It's in here. So again, there's 3 lines. You don't need to waffle too much. His first solution should be positive 2 over 3. So his the solution of minus 4 is correct. Number 18, again, I'm all about saving time, so I've colour coordinated to hopefully explain it clearly. But let's worry about part A. Label your centre, minus 2, 1. And if you're doing a negative scale factor, simply left becomes right, up becomes down. So from there, the red circle of left 4 becomes right 6. Left 6 becomes right 9. And the up part, the up 4, becomes down 6 for the purple. Now, if obviously some teachers like to use rays, I use it to double check, but they definitely line up. Now we come to the bit of a weird, part B. Very wordy, but one thing at a time. Transform, so we need a rotation of 90 around the origin. So get counting. Left 6, up 1, becomes down 6, left 1, or use your tracing paper. But red becomes red, green goes to green, and purple, done. Let's just tackle the word invariant. So the word varies means changes, invariant means doesn't. So doesn't change. So there's 3 possible answers here. So how do we get this new triangle? Oh, triangle R actually. How do we slide triangle R left a bit and up a bit so that the red goes to where the red is? That's left 5, up 7. Purple to purple is left 3, up 13. And green to green is left 7, up 9. All 3 are potential correct answers. Number 19. Meant to be a biggie, but not that big. They've given you loads of space for this. But actually, if you're alert, you can squeeze it in. First thing to mention, the little cone hasn't been mentioned in terms of we don't know its radius. What we do know is that the radius of these 24 is a bit of a red herring. We're needing a radius of 12. Now these cones will be mathematically similar. So the fact that the whole thing is 15 and the bit chopped off is 10, that's 2/3 the size. So the radius of the smaller cone will also be 2/3 of the size. In other words, 8. So let's find the volume of the frustum. So we've got the cone. It's going to be cone, big cone minus little cone. Now the third and the pi are common. It's the r squared and the h that change. So large cone is r squared, that's 12, and height is 15, minus the little cone. Little cone has a height of 10, radius of 8. Let's do all that in our calculators. Again, I'll do it in real time. So 144 times 15, take away what we got, 640. 1520, let's divide it by 3 and times it by pi. So I'm getting 1591.44, etc. Final answer to 3 sig figs. So that's more than enough. First stage done. Now we need the volume of this hemisphere. Now, sphere is 4/3, hemisphere is 2/3. So the final shape, the final volume, we do 2/3 of the hemisphere. So it's pi times the radius cubed. Radius is 12. And it's minus the answer we've just worked out. So 12 cubed is 1728 times by pi times by 2 divided by 3, getting a horrible answer. Take away 1591.44. I'm getting 2026.9. 3 sig figs, 20, 30. Job done. Number 20. So number 20, when we're transforming a graph, let's just think, there's the graph of y equals x squared. The graph of y equals x minus 7 squared, this one, moves right 7. And that's the key. Opposite way round horizontally. So the height does not change. The minus 3, though, goes up by 7. On we go. So, doesn't matter which order you do this in. +3 on the end of a graph means move it up 3. A negative in front of the x, don't forget that's a reflection in the y-axis. Now you can do these in any order, and I would do it using these 5 points. Move them up 3, 1, 2, 3, and reflect. Up 3 and reflect. Up 3, that's 2, 4, 5 away. So over there we go. And this one, up 3, 2, 4, 6 away. 2, 4, 6 away. Finally, up 2. What's that? 1, 2. Now yours should definitely be better than what I'm about to mess up. Terrible. Oh God, please make sure yours is better than mine. That's all I can say. And I've got the excuse I'm using an electronic pen, which I'm naff with. Number 21. Not very friendly circle theorems, but my advice is always write on what you know. I'm just going to blow this one up a little bit more, because I'm going to do more of the working out on the diagram. So firstly, A to D to there. What we got here, sorry, A to C is a diameter. Angle in a semicircle is 90, which makes that 90 as well. If that's 90, that's 28, 118. So if we do 180 minus 118, we know that's worth 62. That means we now know this angle here. They're 118. What else do we know? Well, let's actually read the question for starters. We're wanting angle B to D to C. We're wanting that angle there. Well, the good news is we haven't touched the 35. That 35 is angles on the same arc are equal. Now, if you focus on let's get a little bit of a colour going on here. If you focus on just this triangle, I know it's going to be terrible, don't care. If you focus on just that triangle, you can see we've got a 35, we've got a 118, so they total 153, and this final angle should make 180. So that is a 27 then. Not as bad as it looks. Let's zoom back out for the next one. Number 22. Not a very friendly looking question, but stay with it. Now don't forget, when you've got errors, you go up and down by half of the rounding amount. So if it's rounded to £5, it's up and down by £2.50. If it's rounded nearest hour, it's up and down by half an hour. Now, by considering bounds, determine if it's definitely more than £8.20. So we want the lowest possible answer. In order to get that, we should divide by the biggest possible number. We should start with the smallest possible number, and we should subtract the highest, because all of them are worst case scenarios. So let's do it. Total selling price, we need to go down by £2.50. Materials, up by £2.50. And time taken, 72. We need to go, hold on, Al. We need to go up. In your calcs, put the brackets in just to be safe. 0.5, take away 192.5 divided by 72.5. And my horrible answer, nearest penny, is £9.38, which is definitely more than £8.20. So 23 does not look friendly, but my advice is get on with it. Times both sides by 11. Times both sides by 4x squared minus y squared. So times them by 43. Then I'm going to add 43y squared to both sides. Take away 22x squared. So it wants y to x. So we need a square root. This is where your calculators can help you out. Because the square root of 54 is root 9 root 6. In other words, 3 root 6. And 150 is root 25 root 6. So 5 root 6. They cancel. And if we tidy it up, divide both sides by 3, we get y equals 5 thirds x. Or in other words, y equals x times a number bigger than 1. So y is bigger than x. So that's telling you y gets the bigger chunk of the share. And finally, as you can see from number 21, got a bit ahead of the game. But first of all, AB is 14.7. But this line is in the ratio of 5 to 2. In other words, A to P is 5/7 of 14.7. So let's take the 14.7 times by 5 divided by 7. It's actually 10.5. Then we've got BC, that is 3.8, but more importantly, M to A is half that, so 1.9. M to T is 2.3. That can just go straight on there, no thinking required. Now to find this angle, let's call it X. We have the opposite side, we don't have anything else, but we can find M to P. M to P is the hypotenuse of a right-angled triangle. So we need to do 1.9 squared, 10.5 squared. So on my calculator, square root of 1.9 squared plus 10.5 squared, close my bracket, smash the equal sign, 10.67 is that there. Now they're vertical, so we've got opposite and adjacent. It's a TOA question. So our angle is going to be the inverse tan of the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. So where's inverse tan? Inverse tan, bracket 2.3 divided by 10.67. Close them up. 12.16. 1 dp. 12.2 degrees. So that brings us to the end because all there is to go is all that nonsense. So I hope that's helped and I'll see you on the next one.